pattern lovers, it's all right here. Welcome to another exciting video. Today we are going to be learning how to make this beautiful beaded fascinator, and the materials we'll be needing is, for this particular fascinator, we'll be needing a crinoline mesh, this large crinoline mesh, a piece of fabric, my gum stay. This fascinator cap is sold in the market everywhere. These crinoline tubes, because of the kind of design I'll be making, and my bone, this is like a 1/2 inch bone. I'll also be needing beads because I want to decorate my fascinator cap with beads, my uhu gum, my hair band that I have already started working on. So the first thing I did here was to cut out a piece of fabric. As you can see, it's just 2 inches wide, and I didn't really measure the length here. So I have gone ahead to fold it with my uhu gum, and I have attached that to the end of the hairband. And basically what we are going to be doing is to wrap this piece of fabric around the hairband. Now, if I was making a black fascinator, I would have probably not like had to wrap my hairband with this fabric, but because I'm making a white fascinator, and I don't think I've ever seen a white hairband in the market. Okay, probably there are white hairbands in the market, but I actually just wanted to work with this one. So I'll be wrapping that with this piece of fabric that I have cut ahead of this video, before I made this video, sorry. So this is me just applying my uhu gum, and if you know the uhu gum, it has to dry a little bit before it actually gets attached to wherever you're trying to attach it to. So I've just applied my uhu gum, and I'm just trying to wrap the fabric around the hairband. You see that as the video goes on. Now you can make use of any gum you want. You could use your gum gun, the one that you have to apply the candlestick gum to the gum gun. You could use your E45, E6000, E7000 gum. Any of these gums would actually work with fabric and this hairband. Other type of gums, I really do not know if they would be able to hold the fabric to the hairband firmly. So just watch closely what I'm doing, and you would be able to get this right. I'm just trying to trim out all my rough edges because I do not want my hairband looking rough at the end of the day. You also want to make sure that you're not dragging the fabric on the other side too much, because by the time you finish gumming that to the hairband, you find out that you do not have enough fabric to gum the other side to be able to close up the other side. And that almost happened to me if my attention wasn't drawn to it. So you just have to be very careful. Do not drag too much fabric on one side so that you can still have enough fabric to work with on the other side. If you notice very well, I hadn't even noticed at this point. I was just busy gumming this other side, and then when it was time to gum this part, you could see me struggling right there. So whatever you're doing, just make sure that both sides of the fabric are equal so you don't have to struggle. And we are done wrapping that around. You can see how beautiful that looks, the smoothness and the neatness and everything. So I'm going to keep that aside, and I'm going to take my fabric. I'm just going to try to make my bow. The reason why I need a fabric is to make a bow. You saw that at the beginning of the video on the fascinator. And I'm going to be putting my hard stay. This is actually a collar stay because I want my bow to stand firm. You can make use of however you want the texture of your bow to be. You could make use of wadding, a paper stay, air stay, whatever it is. So I'm just going to iron that on my fabric, and I am going to be sewing that round on my machine. And this is what it looks like after I have put my collar stay inside my fabric and made and iron that down. Look at how beautiful and neat that is. Now I'm going to be taking my crinoline mesh, and I'm going to try to make a bow on it. I'm just going to be making putting each side of the crinoline mesh to the center point of my crinoline mesh, and I am going to take a rope. You can see how many the rope is. I just kept on folding the rope. That's my sewing thread, You can see how thick it is, and I am just going to keep on tying that round. Now you can go ahead and just put this together, get a piece of fabric and tie it, but I don't know how neat that is going to look. Plus I still want to attach my fabric bow on this, so I have to go with this method. You could actually try to sew it together, but sewing it together on your machine or with a hand needle and thread, I do not know. I haven't tried that actually. So yeah, you could do whatever you think would work for you. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to be tying this round because I believe it's going to give me a firmer grip on my crinoline bow. So with that being done, I am just going to go ahead and tie it multiple times, and you see me dragging to make sure that it is very firm. And you can also notice that my crinoline mesh has a little bit of silver glitters on it. This means that you could go versatile with your designs. You could just play around. You know, I'm a fan of being creative with my designs, so you could just go get a crinoline mesh that has a gold color, a silver color, whatever it is you want to be working with. And this crinoline mesh is also come plain, so if you want something plain, you're a minimalist, you do not want to do anything over the top, you could go with the plain crinoline mesh. So I'm just trimming away all the rough ends from the crinoline mesh so my work looks very neat. Next thing I'll be doing, just clear up my workspace, and the next thing I'll be doing is to be making the other bow, the bow on the fabric. You can see how firm that is. So this is how I like to make my bow on fabrics, because I believe that it just gives it the more layers and the more puffs and everything. You will see how that is going to turn out. So I just hold it and I keep turning, and there we go. So I just believe that this works better for me. You could have another way of making your fabric bow, but this works very well for me. Then I'm going to be taking my threaded needle, my needle that I've gone ahead to thread, and I'm just going to stitch that down, because yeah, if I stitch this down, it's going to be firm because it's a fabric and not crinoline mesh. So I'm just going to keep on sewing that. It's a little bit hard because of our collar stay that we put in between the fabric, so it's a little bit of a struggle, and I'm just pressing that down on my table to help me pass the needle through the fabric, the layers of fabric. And just for a firmer grip, I am just going to tie that round again. You can see after I made 2 stitches, I went ahead to just keep on moving my thread, tying my fabric round around it, and I'm also going to go in again. Whatever you feel is going to make your stitches tight, guys, just do it. Whatever it is you know would make your grip tight on that fabric, just do it. So I went in with 2 stitches and I tied it round and round and round, and I'm also going with another stitch just for an extra firm grip. So you could do whatever it is you want, and I'm just going to cut that out, and I'm going to do another knot. I'm going to tie that down again with another knot. So the next thing we'll be doing is I will be placing both bows together. We're just going to, you can see how beautiful that looks already. But before I do that, before I go ahead and join my bows together, I want to pass my boning through my crinoline tubes, and I'm just going to be measuring how long I want it to be with my crinoline tube, and I'm going to be cutting that out. And on this part, from the beginning of the video, you find out that our crinoline tubes were actually in spiral shape, and you'll be wondering, how did we achieve that spiral shape? Well, you are in luck, because we are going to be learning how to do that in this video, and you'll be surprised that it's a very simple step. So all you'll be needing is fire of any kind, and then watch how I am going to do that. So you're going to get the exact shape you want, and you're just going to put that in the fire. If you want it to be a C shape, you bend that in a C shape and you just put it on the flame, on the fire flame, whatever you want to call it. So you see me here trying to get the particular shape I want, So you pass that through the fire. When you're passing that through the fire, you find out that the bone becomes softer, obviously because it's rubber and it gets to melt. So that is your chance to twist it in the position, in the shape you want it to be in. And once you put it in that position, you would hold it firm in that position until it dries up a little, so you'll be sure that it doesn't go back to its former shape. Now, this was my first time doing this, and this is also the first one I was doing, so I wasn't really sure about what I was doing. You could see me struggling a little bit, but then we're going to see how I did the second one, and that was so perfect. And I also did correct this first one. You can see that our spiral shape is already coming into play. Hey, so this is the second one, and I'm going to also do the same thing I did for the first one, but this one came out actually better because I had mastered it, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I have to hold it firm until it dries up a little bit. So you find out in this part that the second one, the spiral lines on the second one actually came out more perfect than the first one. So you just hold that and you put it in the fire. You can see how beautiful that looks already. So you just hold that firm and just melt as much parts as you want to take that shape you are looking for. And you can see how beautiful our bones are already looking, the spiral shape. They look like DNA rings, actually. So, with that being done, the next thing I want to do is to pass these tubes through my crinoline pass my boning through my crinoline tube. And because I'm working with crinoline tubes, which is transparent, I'm just going to take a little piece of fabric and clean off all these black spots that the fire has made on the tube, on the bone, because I do not want that showing through my crinoline tube and making my work look dirty. So I'm just going ahead to clean that. If you're working with a different color of fabric, you might not need to clean this off because definitely it will be covered. Or if I was working with fabrics, white fabric and not a crinoline tube, I wouldn't have to clean that because it's going to be well covered. So I'm just going to be passing this through my crinoline tube, just like you see me do in this video. So I'm done doing that, and you see me just cutting off all the extra crinoline tube, and this is what our crinoline tubes are looking like after passing the bone through it. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to be working on my fascinator cap itself, and I'm going to be decorating this with beads. I'm going to thread my needle, and I am just going to stitch this in with the normal hemming stitch, not stacking stitch, guys, just normal hemming stitch. And you can see how I'm doing that. I take 2 beads, and then I pass it through my needle, and I just pass my thread back, and then I pass the needle back out to the front part of the cap just to secure the stitch. You can see how firm that looks after I bring it out through the front part to secure the stitch. So you just make sure that they are on the same line, and make sure that you're passing your needle through very close to the beads so that it doesn't look loose at the end of the day. And then I'm going to pass that out back to the front to secure this stitch. You can see how firm that looks. Make sure your stitch is not too tight or not too loose, because it's going to make the beads either to clump up upon each other, or it's going to make them dangle away from the cap line you're working with. So I'm just going to pass that through again, and once I get that, I'm passing that to the back, to the front part again to secure the stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and do this all around the cap, and you're going to be seeing how beautiful beading the Fascinator cap will turn out looking. So guys, we're done doing that round, and you can see how pretty this looks, and we're done preparing all the materials we need to put our Fascinator together. The last thing I want to do now, to join my bows together, I want to just add a little bit of spice, so it's not only the cap that is beaded. So I'm going to be making a tiny beaded rope. You can see how the rope is just a very short rope, and I'm just passing beads through it. That is what I am going to be using to join my two bows together. So you can see how I did that. I just passed beads. That's a very simple step. I just passed beads through the rope, and I am tying that down with the bows. I am joining the bows together with the beaded rope. You can see how pretty that looks. You could just go ahead and cut out a normal piece of fabric and just gum that at the end. I'm going to make a more detailed video on how to make a bow, so you could see what I'm talking about. But to spice this up, I am just using that beaded thread, because I believe that it is going to make my bows look more stylish and creative. I've also gone ahead, after tying that, I went ahead to gum that with my gum. I made use of the Uhu gum, the UHU gum, and the candle gum, the candle wax gum with my gum gun. So one of the last things to do now is to join all our parts together, and the first thing we'll be joining together is our hairband and the Fascinator cap itself. So I will be making use of my gum gun, because this gum gun, it actually has a more firm grip, and it dries a lot much faster. Once it dries, nothing can take it away from what it's trying to grip together. So you can see me now. You have to position your Fascinator cap in the way that you want it. If you want it in the middle, if you want it to be at your back, if you want it to be by the side, the left side, the right side, you have to check that out in front of your mirror on your head first, which I have also gone ahead to do off camera. So I have gone ahead to mark the position which I want my bow and my crinoline tubes to be in. You could also replace your crinoline tubes with feathers, with ostrich feathers, fowl feathers, whatever it is, whatever design you want to make, or also with crinoline mesh. You could just tube that up. So I've gone ahead to place this with my gum gun, also with my hot gum, and I have just marked that. And I am just putting extra gum just to hold that. You have to hold it firm until it is dry. Right here, I was actually trying to blow it up with my mouth, or better still, just take it to your fan or your AC and just let that dry up. You have to hold it firm until it is dry. And I'm just applying more and more gum for a firmer grip. So I'm just trying to hold that down so that it can be firm. Still applying more gum just to have a more firm grip. As you can see how I'm holding it down. Make sure you hold it because you don't want your work to just scatter. And then after holding that down, you can see that how firm it is already. So I'm trying to attach my bow now to it, the final look, trying to attach my bow to it, and I'm just using my gum gun also to attach that down. You can see where I'm attaching it from the crinoline mesh on my crinoline bow. Now the good thing about this gum gun is that by the time it gets dried up, it is white, and I'm working with white, so it doesn't even have to show on my work. So it's really neat. And that is all, guys. That was so easy to make and yet very simple. So that is all on this video. I hope we learned a lot, and this is the finished look. You can see how pretty that is. See you guys in another video. Bye.